Hello.
Hello, hello. How you doing, dude?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Ready for the coaching?
Oh yeah, I'm excited, dude.
I'm pumped.
I was just watching your stream. You're just talking about working out and eating.
Yep, that's my daily routines.
I
Uh,
always feel like the best problem that you have in life is like when you have to choose between like time allocation of like productive things. So
yeah, for sure. Like I've gone through phases in my life where I have, like I have stuff I got to do like every few days. Like back when I was a pro gamer, where I'm like, I got a match in 2 days. I got a match in 4 days. I got something I got to travel for next week. But then when you have an off day, and let's say you don't have anything you have to do that day, and it's more just like, do I really feel like practicing right now? And like 6 hours go by, and you do literally nothing, and you're just like, I'm watching YouTube or some shit like that, and you're like, okay, now I feel kind of bad. Like I literally wasted my day. Yeah, I've been there.
sometimes you need to. But I don't know. There's like productive, relaxing things that you can do too. Like I don't know, read a book or like whatever. Like
Read a book. Who reads?
oh my god, that's true. Screw that. I don't have time for that.
Yeah. No, it's definitely like you gotta definitely not like overwork yourself either, right? You gotta like pace yourself to not burn out. Just sometimes take a break, but yeah, no,
Yeah, I've been like working from home because I'm a programmer for an investment bank, and so my hours are very weird because like sometimes in the morning like I don't get anything done. I'll like sit on these calls and I'll hear like lots of people talk, but it'll take like 3 hours of my day and I haven't done anything. But then like later at night, like I was working last night in the past 3 days, like till like midnight or 1 or 11 or something, and so
yeah,
I'm working nights and like doing nothing in the morning. So it's like my whole schedule got like shifted to the evening. um
yeah,
yeah.
man, that's rough. That schedule swaps, man. I actually reset my schedule from waking up at like 6 p.m. and going to bed at like 10 a.m. or like 11 a.m. to now a normal person schedule where I go to bed at like 2 in the morning and I wake up like at 10 a.m. or something like that.
Are you exhausted, or are you okay with it?
I've been on the schedule now for a while. I've been waking up around between 10 a.m. to noon for like probably 2 months now, or like a month and a half. But when I first started,
Okay.
yeah, no, it was terrible. I was like, dude, I'm just like, I like get tired in the middle of my stream. I'm just like, fuck, I want to go to bed right now. Yeah, it was
All right,
definitely
man.
rough. All right, so as I do this with everybody, really quick, just tell me race, league, and what you kind of want to focus on mainly today.
Sure. So I'm Zerg player. I watched your Bronze's GM series, so I think we're probably going to cover a lot of macro stuff because I am in like low diamond, high platinum. I am not
Sure.
particularly good.
Okay.
And I think ultimately it's going to be a lot of like macro pointers, which is what I probably need to build off of. I have a couple replays that we can talk about. I don't know how you feel about analyzing 2v2 replays. Like, are those like helpful, or would you rather look at 1v1s? I'm not entirely sure because
I would say 2v2 is definitely not going to help you that much. But if you really wanted to look at it, we could. But
there's one specific 2v2 where I don't understand. I do want to look at one specific 2v2
okay.
and just try to figure out what I did wrong.
Sure.
But I have a couple 1v1 wins we can take a look at.
Yeah, if you want, we could just start in the 2v2, I guess, then, so we could just bounce through it really fast, and then we can go
Sure.
into the 1v1s.
All right.
All right. So if you're online already, just click your portrait top right, your little avatar, and then on your profile that loads here, you should hit ladders and then grandmaster in the exact same spot, and you can send me a message on the list. I am currently rank. Fuck am I? I always lose I'm rank 89, and then you can just right click my name.
I'm actually friends with you.
Oh,
so
that
I'm
fucking
doing
there
very
you
good.
go. Okay, easy.
There we go.
Okay, nice. And then
All right, cool.
yeah. So yeah, just toss me lobby host when you make the replay, and then we're good to go.
Sure. Here, Mickey leader, or you mean like
No,
when
no.
we
Yeah.
start
So yeah. So you gotta be leader to make the replay, and then once we're in the lobby of the replay, make me the host of the lobby so that I can control the timer.
Gotcha. This is the really we'll burn through this. This is the 2v2.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna speed through this.
Yeah,
This
lobby host.
definitely
There you go.
because this is mostly about like how to analyze and break down 2v2, and I'll tell you in my opinion what you would want to do here. And you
Do you
see,
generally do? Yeah. So like,
you,
why? So just what's the big, even like starting straight off the bat, like why the big differentiation between 1v1 and
yeah.
2v2? Shouldn't all of like the fundamental stuff that you learn in 1v1s like carry over to 2v2s or
Yeah,
no?
so the fundamental shit you learn in 2v2 does not carry over to 1v1, but fundamental stuff you learn in 1v1 does carry over to 2v2. 2v2 is like 2v2 has other aspects as well, but they do not translate to 1v1. 2v2 is basically about how you abuse the matchup as much as you can. And you also fought 4GG this game, and so, I mean, come on, you can't expect that much, right? And you fought his
Who's
barcode
who's
friend.
who's 4GG? I don't even know.
He's a fucking Korean pro gamer.
No.
It's not actually him. It's most likely like it's Diamond dude. This dude was
Yeah.
he
There's
was he
no
was a
way.
brood war, yeah, he was 4GG is like a brood war god. That's also very good at StarCraft 2.
Oh, nice.
Anyways, let's talk about this really fast.
Sure.
So this map is a shared base map. I would say you have two ways to play it out, as since you're double Zerg as well. One is you both could do something very, very aggressive, where you literally are going to say, okay, we're going to all in together. Or the second one would be you both play standard safe builds. You don't get excessively greedy, because if your opponent's all in you, which could happen, you're just going to die if you play excessively greedy. So things like, when I say a standard safe build, it's mostly like things like, oh, a speedling expand. Like you still make drones, but you still get speed. You're not just doing like gasless fucking 4 hatcheries being like mass drones for 5 minutes. So just safe openers is, if you both are gonna, but you both kind of need to synergize, because the only way it works otherwise is if there is like a kind of like a mismatch, or this is probably a better way to say this. You have to kind of like synergize your style with your teammate in 2v2. The only time it ever works where you don't have to do that is if you actually have a plan where one player is going to do something massively durable that is harassing, like mass reapers, for instance. That's a durable harassment style where it can constantly poke and it doesn't have to sacrifice itself. Something like Zergling Baneling is not durable because you're going to throw your army away as you engage, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like, and then, you know, something that can be like harassy early, like Reapers is probably the best one here for this concept. If you had a teammate that could be harassing, and then you had another teammate who went full-fledged macro while your teammate keeps them busy, the macro element of your other teammate just carries the game at later on when you get to like mutas or some shit. Like Reapers for the turn into mutas would be like great for that concept.
So it kind of almost sounds like the swings are bigger in 2v2, where either you're doing like a barbell approach, one person's focusing on the left and one person's focusing on the right, or you're highly synergizing and you're both focused on the same
I would say,
thing. Like,
yeah, I would say for just simplicity, you should always synergize. You should. It's like, it's rare when you're gonna make a build that's gonna be like one and then the other, but because you have to be very specific about your roles there, and it's a lot harder to do it. You have to be able to fulfill your role as well, because if you fail, you're gonna lose. Like if the Reaper guy is like, I'll keep him busy, and he throws his Reapers away, well, he's not keeping him busy anymore, and you're both going to die.
okay, and then I had another question specifically about this map and the back bases. So like something that I always get concerned about. So there's the front base, and then there's this other front base. So we both took these two front bases, right?
Yeah.
So in my experience, if the other two people are going to 2v2, like going off this small ramp, like it's easy to block off and just like you lose that, you know, forward base. So I feel very exposed when taking these two forward bases. Is it ever better to just like build a hatch like horribly inefficiently next to the debris in the back, or no?
No, it's not worth it. You also, as Zerg, you should never feel horribly exposed, because you could just creep spread. So in 2v2, it makes it really easy too if your teammate is also a Zerg player. You definitely should be creep spreading. Like you both should make a third queen, because again, we're talking about safe standard builds, right? So if you both do a speedling expand, you both should be going for like speed and a 3 queen opener, or something super standard where you can make drones still, but you both can make a tumor. When you both could put like your teammate, for instance, could put his tumor between your base and his in the main, and he could shift it down all the way down the ramp, and then you could put your first tumor like at your next expansion, and you could start spreading out on the map. So he could like connect your bases while you could push the map forward with creep, or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, but if you both basically did a a standard opener, you could both go into like, one of you could go into like Roach Hydra, the other one could go Lingbane Muta, You both could go Roach Hydra. You could do this fat fucking army, and one of you could go like Lurkers, one of you could go like Swarm Host, or one of you could just go Mass Ravager Roach, and then one could go Roach Hydra. Doesn't really matter. You have a lot of options there. It's just you both need to like develop an economy safely if you're both gonna play this way. If you're both gonna do like, if one of you is gonna go for like a Ravager all in, and the other one's gonna go for like Mass Speedling Flood or Ling Bane, then you'd both have to do that. You know what I mean? Like you both have to just, again, you have to just synergize what you're gonna do. And I would say standard safe play makes more sense on bases where the main is shared, because you have to then break two at once. So it's harder to break two at once than it is, because if imagine this, okay, let's say can you see my pings really fast on the main map to make this really easy to explain?
Yeah, I can see yours. I actually put down too many things, but I see yours.
So so let's say like this big shared base between the two of them right now is where only one player spawned, and then down a ramp and then up a different ramp is where the other player spawned. So it's not even like they would have to go to the low ground to support each other. If it was two Terrans versus two Zergs and you both decided to all in just one Terran, the other Terran would have to run in the complete open against the both of you, and you could have the Speedling player just run, like surround him, and then the Roach player or whatever, or both of you Speedlings could just surround him and kill him. So like it would be easy as fuck to double all in a Terran base that is isolated, whereas it's probably not the best idea to all in a shared Terran base, because now they're both there.
One tiny ramp.
Yeah, exactly, and now they're both there as well. So like you could have double Hellions there. You could have one player going Hellion Cycle, one player going Marine Marauder, or one player's going for tanks right away and the other player's going bio. There's just going to be a lot of shit you're going to have to break into, and it might not make... Like, it still could work, but it's a little bit less likely to work because the base is shared. And all-ins are less effective versus shared bases. But yeah, that's kind of the concept of 2v2 in general. Like, you just kind of want to, like, play to the advantage, like, the strength of the map, more or less.
Yeah. It almost sounds like just all in one of them, and then...
Yeah, like if they're isolated, it's totally... Like if you're both Zerg and you play isolated spawn locations, you 100% could kill a Terran. Two, like double Zerg all-inning one Terran, it's like impossible to hold that. It's very hard. And if his teammate is also a Terran, he's not really going to be able to assist.
And then this is just another really dumb question about TV2s. Is that also like why there isn't really a competitive scene? Like the competitive scene is entirely 1v1s, right?
It's
yeah, not like...
It's not balanced at all. 2v2 is not balanced. It is really not.
Gotcha.
Like shared bases are very fucking strong, and isolated bases are very, very bad. Like it makes the all-in potential either really, really overpowered or really, really crappy. If the player knows how to defend all-ins. Like if you play against two players, again, how I was saying, all-ins are weak on shared bases. They really are, but it doesn't mean it will never work. If you're just better players than your opponents, and also if they're way too fucking greedy, and they're just like, well, shit, we're getting double all-in, and both of us went for like 3 command center openers. Well, okay, that's a little greedy. Then yeah, they're gonna die anyways. But if someone knows how to play the game, and they like, if let's say one or both Terrans open for a Reaper, and they scouted each one of your bases, they were like, okay, yo, this guy's going Ravagers, yeah, this guy's going Ling Bane. Neither one of them are expanding, and they both throw down like a fucking bunker. So now you have to break double bunker and a ramp, and then like one of them makes a tank, and the other one makes like 3 racks, and he's got extra bio. You're gonna be like, okay, well this all-in fucking sucks. Like it's never gonna work.
Right.
And then you're way behind in that kind of a game because they're just gonna like develop way faster than you are at that point, because they're both like, you know, playing a standard safe build, which is exactly what I was saying that you guys should do if you're both gonna do it. But yeah, 2v2 is definitely not balanced. Like it.
And actually, can we just pause even here? So this is so actually in my base. So going for like a standard build, like I tend to get, and this is probably I think where I like messed up the most, at least specifically to this game in terms of like throwing down buildings. I kind of feel like I threw down and something there. So there was like Cyril, for example, recently just put out a stream I think yesterday that I watched, and I don't ever really watch his streams. I mostly watch your streams or just like random caster streams and stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't even stream at all, really.
Yeah, and so I watched his, and in his, something that he had done that I thought was interesting is just like the lack of like, he ends up getting out 3 bases. So here I'm purple, so there are 1, 2, 3 bases down, and then I like start to throw down some more like of the tech after I got my lair. So I put down the 2 Evo chambers, the Baneling Nest, and then the Spire. Is that too much stuff all at once, or is that the right order? Should the Baneling Nest have come down earlier? I don't know. Like these are things where I'm just like, oh, I don't have any buildings, and I just you know, just throw down a bunch of stuff because I'm like I need stuff now or
If
tech
you're going
now.
to do a standard build, like of basically Ling Bane Muta, you should be doing Baneling Nest right after you make a layer, and then you should be
Okay.
getting your double Evo right around the same time you make a Spire.
Okay.
And then your gas timings are actually the most important thing here. You should be taking one gas until you get a Zergling speed, and then you should take a couple drones off gas, and leaving only one on gas until your natural mineral line is fully saturated. So you're talking 32 drones total mining minerals now. And then you should be going back to saturating that one gas only until your third base, which you should start while you're saturating your natural. Your third base will be at like between 8 to 12 drones, and then you can resaturate. You can take 2 gases on your natural, and then you can then saturate those gases with more drones again that you're making. And then you will not actually take gases 4, 5, or 6 until all 3 mineral lines are fully saturated. And if you like that opener of that order of gas is the most standard way to play Zerg, and it is it's like a very solid macro version of it. It's fast. It gets you the economy you need quickly, and it gets you your tech out relatively fast as well. Because if you're doing shit like where you're like, all right, I'm going to take one gas, I'm never going to rip my drones off of it ever. I'm going to rush a layer, and then when my natural has 7 drones on it, I'm going to take double gas at my natural, and I'm going to saturate those. And we're talking like and then you're going to take your 4th gas when your natural now has 11 drones on it. You haven't even started a 3rd yet. And then finally you fully saturate 2 bases, and now you start a 3rd. And then you immediately take gases right away because you're like, I'm going mutas fast. Like builds like that, they are builds that I'm not going to say that they don't make sense, but they're not passive macro builds. They're builds that put you in a position where you're going to get your mutas out at a higher number. Like the initial number of mutas is going to be a little bit higher, a little bit faster, and you're going to get the mutas out probably like 45 seconds quicker than you would have otherwise. But if you would have done the macro version, you would have the macro version will match the rushed muta version with muta probably like 1 minute after the rushed version gets to, like, let's say the rushed version gets to 12 mutas at 6 minutes. The macro version will get to 12 mutas at 7 minutes. It would just get there a little bit later, but then the macro version will be building mutas at a faster rate the whole time, and it will surpass the muta count of the 2-base muta player. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's just...
That's interesting. Yeah, so you push it out later, you get the same amount, but I guess your income is higher, so you're able to produce more later.
So you're going to be at a the point I'm trying to make here is the longer the game goes on, the more of a disadvantage you're going to be at if you rush gas and rush your tech. And the only way it makes sense... It's not an inefficient build if you do it correctly, and the way to do it correctly is you have to be aggressive and capitalize on the fact that you sacrificed your own economy to also now fuck up your opponent's economy. You have to, and then you have to be able to macro while you do that. It's harder to do this. It puts you in a position where you're behind unless you deal damage. But if you do the 3-base version I said, you do not have to deal damage, and you will be in an amazing position. Because it's macro focused. Oops.
Cool. Yeah. I imagine there are a lot of variations. Again, you're talking to a platinum player here, so
yeah, it's all good.
Like, yeah, I imagine there are a lot of builds that are like that are shifted based off of like economy versus dealing damage. So like with mutas or like or Hellion Firebat type stuff, or like I imagine that like there's the same build, but you could do the same build, but later have units later, but then have a stronger economy.
Yeah, basically the simplest way to answer this for you is anything that prioritizes gas before you saturate your mineral lines is a build that focuses on you need to deal damage every time.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if you ever,
that's usually like why, like, and I like learned this stuff from like casters and stuff. They're like, oh, that person's checking for gases. Like, so like when you go and scout somebody's mineral line and you see like half. If you see like half their mineral line are saturated, but they've taken double gas, then they're just going for a more aggressive build.
Yeah, they're teching their ass off. They are teching to something. It could be supreme in-game tech, like they might be rushing fucking BCs, or they might be going for like DTs really fast, or something high tech. But it is some type of tech. They are prioritizing tech, which is going to obviously translate into tech units, and that those units are going to need to deal damage for them, because if they just tech and they sit there and do nothing with their tech, they're just behind. If you are going for drones and you're going for a mineral priority, that is how the game works. So every time you scout anyone who's prioritizing gas, you should always play defensive if you're not also all-in. You have two choices to play against somebody who goes gas. One is you all in them before their tech gets out, and the other is you just absorb their tech when it happens defensively, and you just surpass them while they're teching.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
But yeah, like the way you guys are playing this out, I mean, you guys are both expanding at relatively decent rates. It's not bad. You're definitely doing a gas priority though, right? You have 42 drones right now.
Yeah, I started doing something stupid. I was like gonna go for mutas and attack the back bases or something. I don't know. I just started doing the muta thing.
Yeah, and then it puts you in that position where you have to do damage, otherwise you're behind.
This is like my worst game.
It's all good. I would say like the biggest problem here though for you guys is you as the Zerg player, you guys both have 100% map control right now because unless you throw your armies away like you kind of just did, like both of you kind of just ran roaches and lings in there and you both lost a bunch of units. But if you both would have not committed to a fight, but you just make the Terrans feel contained, which you were successfully doing before this. If you just saturated up to like, seriously, the number I always quote people is between 80 to 85 drones. That would have given you an economy where you could then max out super fast and you could repeatedly remax. You could literally just be attacking the whole game after that. Because that amount of drones will always develop a bank for you that is big enough to where when you actually attack them, you will have enough bank left over as long as you're macroing larva and injecting your bases to be able to make a new army that you could also remax right away. You will always be able to remax right away with 80 to 85 drones. That's like the sweet spot. And then that you could then just fly. That's when you could be like, all right, well, I have like 40 mutas flying into his base, like popping command centers and killing SCVs.
How does that apply to, so like with that 80 drone count, how does that apply for gold bases like back here? So like I just probably need less than 80 or
no,
80?
no, you'd still need 80, I would say.
80. Okay.
You just would have it more expansions, essentially. Because that gold base is also going to mine out faster. Like, yeah, it's going to give you a little bit more money, but you also have less drones actively mining. So, like, if you do get to 80 drones, you will have a little bit of a higher income than you would have if it was a normal base. But it's not, like, that gold base is not worth, like, 2 expansions or something like that. Like, it's a little bit of a boost, but it's not enough for me to be like, no, now you only need, like, 70 drones. Like, you still want 80 because as soon as you mine that out, you're going to be mining it efficiently now because where are those gold drones going to go? They're probably going to go to another non-gold base if your opponent takes the other gold. But yeah, like it's just this is one of those examples where it's like you guys have map control, but you're not really utilizing it for yourselves.
Right. And honestly, I felt like we did have. Yeah, I just feel like I lost a lot of drones. There was earlier like a Viking landed and killed like way too many drones.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is. I'm not doing anything with the mutas here.
Yeah, it's
like I did that thing. I went for mutas and then I just like didn't have anything to deal with anything else.
Yeah. Like if you take damage in your mineral line, you can always rebuild it, right? Like it sucks when you take damage, but like if you have to realize if you take gas too fast and you're prioritizing tech, which I would say your drone count with the amount of gas you had and the fact that your drone count was like between 40 and 60 this whole game so far, that's a very low drone count. Especially the fact that you're on 4 bases. Like your main mineral line had 2 drones on it and you never replaced that after the Viking.
Nah. Yeah.
So
this is my brother also.
Nice.
Yeah, family StarCraft.
Fucking good stuff, man.
Oh yeah.
I actually haven't played StarCraft with my brother since like Brood War.
Is he a GM or?
No, he plays World of Warcraft now, so he's bronze at every game. That's not World of Warcraft. That's what that game does to you.
That's funny because my brother is also a big WoW player too.
But yeah, like if you guys just had more, like your brother in this game, he's got a fucking solid drone count, and he also has a solid supply. Where's the fucking supply? He had a solid supply. He took a fight just now, but like he has the ability to remax right now, totally. You definitely do not.
No, I got screwed.
Yeah.
I felt like I lost this base to the tank marine drop in the gold, and then I also in the bottom left there was another marine drop there. I lost both of those bases, and also then the Viking in my main, and so that's 3 bases that I lost all the drones and the bases themselves, and I never replaced the drones.
Yeah.
And like I could in theory be in a similar, and I've be in a like similar drone count. He never lost any one of his bases is the thing. So I'm taking the blows here. But I'm also not doing the replacement needed.
Exactly. I was about to say it's not really an excuse though to say just because you took damage means you're always going to be behind with the timer of the game, because you definitely could have replaced it. I agree with you that you're just not replacing. Like in 2v2, if one of you gets fucked over, but let's say you lose a lot of drones, but your opponent just lost an army. Let's just say that happens. I mean, I know 1 Viking is not an army. 1 Viking is also not really acceptable to let it kill a whole mineral line. That just means you were literally not paying attention for like 40 seconds to that pace. But so that's, obviously just, that'll come in time.
Yeah, I don't know if there's there's a liberator there too. Who knows? But yeah, no, it's just paying attention, but still like replacing that mineral line and stuff is usually what I'm much more capable of doing in like a 1v1.
So
think more controlled.
Think about that. Think about this. In 2v2, if your teammate gets kicked in the nuts and he has to recover, basically, you're like, oh fuck, I just got shit on. I need some time to recover. Your teammate should probably then realize the situation as well and cover you. Like play some style that is kind of like conservative, not aggressive. Like that's like the worst time for your teammate to be like, you know what, I'm gonna go fucking all in now. Let's go. See ya. Like I'm gonna go 1v2 now and see what happens. Like he's gonna die, and then you guys are both gonna die because you're both fucked now. But if your teammate does something instead where he's like, let's just say he goes into lurkers, or he goes into infestors, or he just has a good Hydra count, and he always, like, maybe let's say the Terrans are trying to push at some point, and he shoves into them, he sees them siege their tanks, and then he backs off before he gets shot by siege tanks, and he keeps slowing them down. He just covers you and allows you to have more time to recover. That's what should happen in 2v2. I'm not saying it didn't happen in this game, but like what I'm trying to say is your teammate should cover you while you recover. You shouldn't just be like, well, I'm fucked now, and now I'm just going to make units from a fucked state the whole time, because you're never going to win with that regard.
Based off that small economy.
Yeah, you're never going to win if that's the plan. Like, because if your opponents just don't attack, then you're 100% going to lose, because you're going to be playing the game the whole time after that from this horrible state.
Yeah, and like we can actually. I'm also only bringing up the 2v2s because I play a lot of 2v2s. I just have more fun when I'm playing with friends and stuff.
Yeah.
But this game was actually not the most interesting. We can burn through this and just go to 1v1.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Like I'm trying to definitely make this go fast.
Yeah. Let's go to the. It's just I thought for some reason looking at like my worst game might help me get better, but there was just not replacement of drones. Let's go to my 1v1 where I won barely, and I want to know why I didn't just destroy him. That's something that's actually a little bit more interesting to me.
Sure. Let's do it.
This one. What? I think it's this one. I'll promote you. Yeah, let's watch this one, because this is also, like, I think you said in your email to pick one that like demonstrates a style that you like. I really enjoy infestors and ultras.
You enjoy infestor ultra?
I love infestors. I don't know. I just like getting a good hit with slowing them, and especially against Terran bio. And I think I do that this game.
Okay. I'm not gonna say you can't do it. Okay, if you want to have fun and go infestors, you can. But
sure.
It's definitely a higher level thing to do. Like, because it requires timing, requires, I would say, multiple groups to actually use the infestors properly. It's definitely advanced. It's more time consuming, and it's definitely going to fuck your macro up.
Yeah. But if you're playing against, so this is the brilliancy of just playing at lower leagues. If you're playing against somebody who also kind of sucks, if they've clumped all of their stuff together and you just get a one infestor hit on it, that's a game. I mean, I don't know. I
see what you're saying, but I still disagree with you, because
okay.
Because you could be playing at such it's more like it's like this, okay? It's like, say, like, I want you to think about it like this, and maybe this will make sense.
Sure.
If you had like 2 lines, okay, and one is like as efficient as it could possibly be, and it's like a straight line. It's super efficient. It's just going from point A to point B. And then yet the second line, it kind of like zigzags left and right. It still goes to point B, but it just takes longer to get there. And you're going to the same place. It's just one takes like half as long as the other. We're just talking about efficiency, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you just focus on macro elements and you just make something fucking a movie face roll, like if you were to just make only ultras, you would have better trades than if you did things where you were like, all right, well now I need to find that engagement. I need to also set up that engagement, and I need to get that sickest fucking fungal. And yeah, it's gonna feel great when you land a fungal and you're like, god damn, that was such a juicy engagement. That was so efficient. But if you just have mass ultras and you just run at him and just run at his face, you might lose like 2 or 3 ultras a little bit less efficiently than otherwise, as he starts trying to kite back and you know, not lose his army. But that allows you also to not even look at the army at all and not even micro it, like, because again, that's a very immovable army, and it allows you to improve what you need to improve on, which is fixing and upkeeping your macro the whole time. Because
that's true.
The point of macro is not. I'm gonna say this: a pro gamer does not just macro, and that's all he does. A pro gamer is so fucking fast at macro that he can do it and then have a lot of free time to do other things like micro harass, do stuff like that, scout. But a lower level player does not have the ability to be as fast at macro, and I feel like a super low level player, like a bronze or a silver player, doesn't even have the ability to macro without falling behind on macro. Like, they will actually be like, well, fuck, okay, now I'm supposed to creep start again, now I'm supposed to inject again, now I'm supposed to make drones again. Like, it's just going to feel overwhelming just to physically build the build, just to build it. Someone of your level, like someone who's in a little bit, like, you know, in the verge of diamond, high plat, something like that, I think a player like you could actually handle most aspects of macro if you do nothing else. But again, it's about training yourself to get faster at it, because the reason why repetition's so good here is because if you do repetition of anything, you will get faster and more efficient at it over time. So
right. And the core part of this game, sorry to interrupt,
it's
but
okay.
when I watched your series, I went from, like, you know, gold to low diamond, or I got to diamond actually. The thing that I noticed is it is so macro oriented, and like your series really helped. But then I like kind of plateaued, and like I stayed at that plateau for a very long time with the cusp of, like, you know, low diamond, and I couldn't like get past it. And then I like took a break from the game because I was like, I felt like I was grinding really hard to like stay at a plateaued level, and then I came back, and then I like kind of dropped a little bit. And then at that point I was like, well, I kind of also want to have fun playing the game, so that's when I threw in the infestors and tried doing other fun stuff at the detriment of my MMR. And like, I don't want to focus. When I'm in that mode of like I'm grinding out to like get like a little bit more MMR, I also like stop enjoying the game as much. So a big part of it is like, how can I improve without getting frustrated? I think that's like a bigger question. But I think a big part of it is also exactly what you're saying. Like, just keep it on the macro, because, you know, there are many times where I'm like, oh, I didn't get like my Hydra upgrade, or like something like that, where it's like there was a big lapse because I was doing what you say in your series. Is like I'm staring at my army and I'm like not taking care of the things that are.
I have a recommendation
that need to be taken care of.
I understand where you're coming from. I wish I could help you in the fact where I could say, well, this is the fun way to improve at StarCraft. That doesn't exist. That does not exist. So this is what I would recommend for you to do. I would recommend for you to try your best to do every aspect of just improving, which might not be as fun. It'll get fun later once you actually can handle the multitasking that's required. But for now, I would say I would recommend that you just play ladder on ranked, and you would just try to improve at it as much as you can, with, you know, elements of like just macro. And if you're like, you know what, I need a fucking break, I want to have fun, I want to do some fun shit now, even though I know I can't handle it, I don't give a shit, I just want to have fun, play unranked. Literally just queue for an unranked game, because it has separate MMR, and you will grow that too. Like, it will increase, and that's when you can be like, you know, I'm just gonna fucking mess around with infestors this game. Like, I'm gonna go for I'm gonna try to do micro elements hardcore this time, just because I want to have fun. I want to use the units. I don't just want to A-move. And it doesn't actually, it's not going to like cripple your progress of your macro. And then when you're ready and you're like, okay, I want to push for improvement again, queue for a ranked game and then try to push for improvement. And this is while you were talking, I noticed something in your play right here. This is an exact example of what I'm talking about.
Sure.
So watch what you're about to do. You have a drone. You're going to rip off the mineral line, right? Or you already ripped off the drone off the mineral line.
Oh yeah.
And you're going to scout him with a drone, and you don't need to do this. Go ahead.
So here's my counterpoint for doing this, and I was talking to my brother about this and like why I do the drone scout. And you say don't do it, and I agree, but like I want to hear more evidence why to not do it.
I'm gonna tell you, it's multitasking.
The reason why I do it is because at the league that I'm at, how big of a difference will one drone make instead of me going to scout something like a barracks or bunker?
I'm so glad you asked. How big of a difference will it make?
Because
watch this. Okay, that drone right there. You're not fully saturated on this mineral line, and just that drone alone is worth like over 6% of your total economy. It's even bigger now because you have even less drones. Like one drone out of what is 1 out of 12, percent wise? It's like 8% or something,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, like that's
a little under 10%.
Yeah, it's like it's a big portion of your economy already right now. But look at this. Watch your money right now and watch your larva, okay? Because you're fucking multitasking. Look, your money. Make a drone right now. Okay, you do. Now, let's see it.
Do an overload, I think.
Okay, no. Okay, for some reason, I'm not gonna laugh. I guess I was distracted. For some reason, I thought you didn't make a drone, and I was gonna be like, "Did you make a drone for like 20 seconds?"
No, I think I actually am pretty decent on the multitasking in the beginning. It's like the mid game where I start to fall apart. But I think I got you on this one, man. I think I make all my drones, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, so far you are. All right, now let's look and see what your build does now. Okay, well here we go. So we're going further. We're going further forward. You're not sending your drone down to expand. The drone should be sent down around 180, and we'll see what's going on now with your build. Like this is going like. So I thought I saw the drone get missed, but this is it's just the example of multitasking. And the more pressure you put on yourself to multitask, the more times you're gonna fuck up. The lower level you are, like basically when you play a game of StarCraft, do you actually think to yourself while you're playing, okay, I got to make the overload at 19. I got to do this at this time. I got to make the hatchery at 16 supply. I got to make the pool at like gas at 18 supply, pool at 17 supply. Like, do you actually think about your build when you play? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you do, you already can't handle multitasking. Because if you get,
a lot of it, at least in the beginning, is very like it's almost like mostly muscle memory at this point. But then,
should be.
Yeah, but then mid game, late game, then I'm like thinking a lot more.
So your build's already, like I'm telling you right now, your build's already fucked. Like it's
probably
your like you've sat on 17 drones for a while, and that's fine. That's great, but okay. Look at this. We'll look at the timer. Okay, we'll look at the exact timer. Right now, you should be sending a drone to your natural, because if you did, you would get there right when you hit 300 to make a natural. So we're at 46 seconds. So we'll remember 46 seconds, and we'll look at when it takes you to send a drone down to your natural. And now you're going to make another drone randomly around almost 300 minerals. And right now you start sending a drone down at 57. So 11 seconds later, you're going to start a hatchery just for the sake of scouting with the drone. And your overlord, like I would say right now, you scouted that he has a barracks in his main base. And what would you say? I'm going to counterpoint you in a second here, but what would you say that this scout has provided you information-wise?
I'm not getting cheesed.
Okay, so how about this? Have you ever thought about putting your second overlord in front of your natural? It tells you if you're getting cheesed as well.
Okay, fair point.
Like if you like see that box right now in front of your, like it's not the circle where the hatchery's supposed to go, but it's like that box in the choke point. If you put your overlord right in the center of that, you can literally see any fucking cheese coming at you. And here's why this is important, okay? The Terran will cheese you no matter what before your pool is done with a standard build, so you can start lings when the pool is done regardless. You don't even have a pool started right now, and I agree that you shouldn't have one started yet. So knowing he is not proxying you changes nothing. Like your hatchery should have been started already if you had been playing standard. Your whole goal is to take a natural. You can still take a natural even if you get cheesed. That's still fine. It's not like there is no reason to be like, I'm going to send one of my first 12 drones out and I'm going to scout only a supply depot, and then I'm like, now I'm just going to go gas pool. Like you don't have to do that, because if you do that, it means your economy is going to be like not only lower in the fact that you're taking such a gas in the pool so early, but it's also learned the fact that you sacrificed a percentage of your economy, a pretty decent percentage of your economy right off the bat. So you're going to have less money to deal with an all-in anyways.
It's true.
Like, yeah, you'll get lings out faster.
That's a good... All right, you've definitely convinced me to no longer drone scout, especially...
It's
right. Yeah, I guess just the size of the percentage of my economy in the beginning is
and it's
the biggest selling point.
It's already thrown your build off within the first minute by over 10 seconds.
And it's taking APM and focus. Yeah.
So now your hatchery goes down, and then what's going to happen next? Your drone is going back in again for round 2.
Why do I do this? Yeah. I don't know.
But watch your build. What's happening? Let's watch your build here.
No,
like I'm not even gonna pay attention to your scout right now. I'm just gonna look at your build.
Sure.
You got 250 minerals and going. You're throwing a pool down. You threw the pool down at almost 300 minerals. After you threw the pool down at, so you threw your hatchery down at 18 supply, and it was like 11 seconds late as well after what it could have been, and then you threw the pool down. You made a drone again, and you threw the pool down at 19 supply, 300 minerals. That is a fucking super late pool. This pool is all, like, I would say your hatchery is, again, 11 seconds late. Your pool is also, like, now 15 seconds late, or, like, 18 seconds late. And then there's no gas still. So, I mean, you could be doing the B2GM build, which is fine if there's no gas for that, if your plan's to go for, like, layer roaches. But now let's watch your build some more. Because you're poking his supply depot with your drone, and like you're annoying him, which is what you're doing. But watch your build. You have 300 minerals again, just chilling, and exactly like you're not macroing because you're multitasking. You're like, again, it's all about multitasking. This is like your drone scout is so fucking long. This is like the drone is missing for such a long time that it's so much money being missed. That's just the one drawback there, but your whole build is already thrown so fucking off.
Okay.
Like your hatchery, 18 your hatchery is about 11 seconds late. Your pool probably like 18 seconds late. Your gas probably also like 18 to 20 seconds late now. Like you have so much fucking money. Like the fact that you have such a bank right now, this should not be happening. The only time you should have hit 300 minerals is like the second your pool's finishing, and then 2 queens immediately started. And you're back down to like going between like 50 and 100 minerals the whole time, up until you have like your layer or your natural starts being saturated a bit more. But we're talking 400 mineral territory right now, and it's gonna keep climbing.
Right.
Okay, so you're starting a third hatch now. So this.
Yes. Yeah, because I saw him throw down his CC, so I was like, I'm gonna go for a hatch.
Also, I'm gonna watch your Overlord too. Watch this shit. Your Overlord is so so off. Watch your Overlord. Okay, so you send it within the first 3 seconds. That's okay. That's within 3 seconds is fine. Watch. I'm watching how this thing moves though. We're gonna speed up a little bit more.
I think he just sits right here.
Okay, so.
Oh no, he goes.
Your Overlord went all the way to the main base and then suicided. If your first Overlord goes to the natural instead of the main base, like if you tell your Overlord at first to go towards the ramp between the main and the natural, like we're talking like the middle of the ramp, like that's the angle you set it at, you will always spot random units walking across the map, like weird SCVs that are coming across if they're going through the center, or Zerglings from your opponent if he's going anything going through the center. Your Overlord will catch it on most maps. There's only a few exceptions to this, like Purity and Industry and Golden Wall, because those maps have awkwardly fucking just awkward terrain. It's not like most like this map is a standard map. The Overlord would work like properly on this map. Point I'm trying to make though here is you would see the natural as soon as your Overlord gets here. You would always see the natural, and you will always see his ramp as to what he's going for. And then if you're like, okay, well, now I've seen what I need to see, you can always go to the cliff where your second Overlord is headed right now to chill and, stay over the area to just kind of keep tabs on him. But like that scout, again, if you have your second Overlord sit in front of your natural, you will see any type of cheese that could happen, again, before your pool is done. And then you will be able to also, with your first Overlord, see if he has natural, and if he's playing standard. Because watch this now, okay? Check this out. Watch when your pool is done. So your Overlord took, again, a bit of a weird angle, but look at where your Overlord is right now.
Which one?
Your first one.
The front one?
Yeah, it's going into his main right now. If you went to his natural, guaranteed you'd be seeing the command center right now, right? Like like if it was that angle instead, you'd be like in range to see the CC. You're going to see the CC right after 2 minutes always, because it's rough. Like between like 2 minutes and like 2:20 is when you're going to start, because every map is not exactly the same. Between 2 to 2:20 is when you will always kind of spot the natural and see if he does or doesn't have a command center. And look at your pool. I know your pool's a little bit late, but you should, against Terran, generally speaking, you usually always make safety lings anyways because of the potential of a Reaper. So this could be that time when you have 2 queens started already. You've already made your 4 lings for the safety part. And if you did not see a natural and you were like, oh, fuck, we're getting cheesed, you could just keep making lings at this point. Like if it was like some weird cheese where he doesn't bunker proxy right away. If he did bunker proxy right away, look at how early his barracks is done before your pool. His barracks is done right now at 1:28. Your pool is just now starting. Now your pool's a little late, but your pool ideally would be probably like 25 seconds of the way in right now if this was a standard, if you did it properly timed, which means your pool's not done. And if this SCV ran, let's say the barracks is proxied like right there, and now he runs an SCV forward to proxy the front of your natural, you would see that again before your pool's done either way, and you could just start making lings.
Even though my pool's not done? Wait, what?
What I'm saying is
so his barracks is done now. So his barracks is done now. If it's up here,
I'm not,
and my pool is like 30. Let's say it's like plus 30 seconds into it. How long does it take to build a pool? 46. Yeah. So if I'm 30 seconds greater than that, then basically you're saying, and he starts building.
What I'm saying is you don't keep making drones. Yeah. You start making once you can make them. You need to make lings.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense, but the lateness of the pool and the lateness of the hatch, it was like everything got shifted by a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I see what you're saying, though.
But again, also the biggest thing of all is it reinforces the lack of multitasking. So, which is definitely, like, I feel like that argument alone has proven itself, where not just one aspect of your build has been thrown off, every single aspect of your build has been thrown off because of multitasking, which is the exact same shit I'm talking about when you're talking about, like, I want to go for fungal growth. I'm like, oh, that's fucking advanced as fuck multitasking right there. Like, you need to have timing, you need to have positioning, you need to have like proper usage of multiple control groups. It's super advanced. And then having that as an argument of like having a better engagement, yes, that does make sense if your multitasking is able to handle it. But if your multitasking is not able to handle it, it's going to fuck you over more than your opponent, because you're going to always, like, yeah, you might have one good engagement, but your follow-ups to this are going to always be fucking late and thrown off. When it would just be better if you had a little bit less of a good engagement by just having like more A-moving units, and then you could just be like, face roll, fucking, my macro is crazy.
And I think a big part of that is also like manifest itself at that diamond level. Like, I think that when you could, like, in the platinum level, let's say, for example, let's say you're doing all that fungal stuff and it's going and you're kind of just destroying players with what you have. Then when you get to like diamond, it's like that stuff, the leeway for that stuff starts to like fall away, I think. And it really does become a lot more about having like a solid build that you can like stick to and like fall back on.
And like this build right here, for you, you're this is definitely not B2GM build.
No, I didn't do the roaches.
So like your gas, I would say, is if you're gonna go for speedlings, your gas was now. Remember how I quoted you like maybe like 20 seconds late or something? Your gas is now like probably 50 seconds late or 45 seconds late, because you actually need to go gas before pool. With a speedling opener, it makes a lot more sense. It gives you a lot more map control. So like your build should be this, literally: 17 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool.
Oh, okay.
And then
And then you do the 2 drones, and then you pull the drones off and leaving 1.
And and then exactly the exact build I told you in 2v2. I can say it again if you'd like. But the exact build I told you in 2v2 is what you should be doing here. The gas allocations all the way to 3 base fully saturated. Because we're gonna look at your gas now, and so you're not ripping drones off gas after you get Zergling speed, and we'll see how your natural goes. You take your gases at your natural, I think, at 11 drones, which is super early.
Yeah, I started forming. That's a bad habit of mine, actually.
And then now,
and I think I started doing that out of like, because with the roach, the bronze to GM build, right? You wall off and then you throw down the roach layer, and then you take the gases. I take those gases way too early.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you do in that roach build, don't you? You say half saturation on the natural, and then take double gas. Is that something that you say? I forget.
Yeah, it's basically what I do with the roach build is I get my first injection, pops off, I spend all the larvae, then I take double gas, and go from there because I can afford it then. But again, I'm also not going for speedlings for map control either in the build.
So I did that bronze to GM build so often that I think it's ingrained in me. And even though I'm doing this speedling build, I did the gas portion of the bronze to GM build.
Sure. And now this is the big argument here. Okay, so you've taken a lot of gas super fast with the speedling opener, and you've gone like you're doing two builds at the same time. You're going for a 3-base speedling opener, which is definitely mineral focused, and then you're going for a layer rushed multi gas, which is definitely a tech-focused build. You cannot have a tech-focused build and a mineral-focused build combine and make sense. It has to be one or the other. Because all that's happening now is you're doing both builds, which means you're doing weaker versions of what they both are. So
would you have recommended not taking the gas on this natural, taking those 6 drones from the gas and then just putting them on my third?
Yes, and also it really would be 8 because you have 2 drones that have made the gas too.
Right, that's true.
So what I said was, I'll just give you the layout really quick, and then we'll talk about the reasoning about why you're going for a layer. So the build should be the 17 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. You take 2 drones off gas when you get 100 for zergling speed. You do not resaturate that gas that has 1 on it now until your natural is fully saturated. Then you do not build your next 2 gases until your third base is somewhere in the range of 8 to 12 drones. So 8 to 12 drones on your third is when you take gases 2 and 3. You saturate those gases, and then you do not take any more gas until your 3 bases are all fully saturated mineral lines. All of them.
Gotcha.
And then you're still making drones to not lose saturation, but you're still making drones to then add gases on top of that.
When do you add at what point during what you just described do you add the 2 back onto the natural? Because in what you described, you have 3 gases, right?
Yeah. And then you take gases 4, 5, and 6 when you're fully saturated on all bases, all 3 bases.
Gotcha. Okay.
And yeah, you don't take your. I think you just asked when do you take the next 2? You don't take those.
Or when you put the 2 back, like when do you put the 2 back that?
Oh, sorry. When you're fully saturated on 2 bases, mineral lines. So you you saturate both main and natural, and then you don't rip off a mineral line. You just build 2 new drones to go back into the gas now. You maintain 16 out of 16 as much as possible. Like, you don't want to hit 16 and then rip back down to 8 because you take gases and then rebuild again. You want to maintain 16 and new drones that get built make gases.
Okay, that makes sense.
This allows you to have more queens. It allows you to have more creep spread. It allows you to expand faster. It allows you to make more overlords. It allows you to make more zerglings. Everything that costs minerals, it allows you to do that, which is what your whole build is using right now. So now, the second part of this was I was going to say, let's see what you do with your layer. Like, you're doing half of a macro build with mineral focus, and you're doing half of a tech build, which requires some type of pressure to make sense. The layer's going to finish right now at 4:59. Now, what happens? We'll just say 5 minutes, just to make it easy, round it off. What happens from 5 minutes to whenever you do something with your layer? So you start a spire, but let's see what happens with the spire though. What's going to happen with these mutas? Because you're doing a split build, right? It's not going to be full power muta here because you didn't do a fully tech focused build. You're splitting it in half because you also did a macro build, 3 base speedling opener.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing like the same thing that I did. Now I know what I'm doing, which makes no sense. I'm doing the same thing that I did in the 2v2. I just threw down a bunch of the buildings as soon as my layer finished. But I think look at my naturals or my main. I'm missing 4 drones.
Yeah. And also, I'm going to tell you right now, mutas are way harder than hydras because mutas require you to multitask again. You're making this game like you're turning simple addition into like calculus. Like you're making a simple thing way harder than it has to be.
Oh man, wait until the investors come out.
Yeah, right. I know.
Yeah, definitely. Like, also, what you're saying is it's very, very helpful. I definitely everything that you said. Also, like some of the critical parts of what you just were saying was definitely at the beginning of the build,
Yeah.
and all have to do with like gathering resources. And I think I need to think about that and
Yeah.
timing of buildings.
So
But now I'm getting
check this out.
dropped.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So your layer finished at 5 minutes. You don't start a muta, or your muta's just popped out just now at 8:38. So 3 minutes and 38 seconds later, you finally made mutas to pop out, and then you have a second spire as well. Like this is not necessary either because it's so fucking expensive. You don't ever really want to go second spire. It's very. I would say the situation for a second spire to actually make sense is something you're never going to run into. It's very, very, very rare that you're going to ever think 3 meters is what I need right now. And I would say it doesn't make any sense at all in Legacy of the Void anymore anyways. It's something that made sense a little bit more in Wings of Liberty. But ever since Wings to now Legacy, there's so many more things in this game that just butt fuck mutas, like Widow Mines, like Thor Radius, the Phoenix range upgrade, fucking like there's just a lot like new stalkers, shield batteries. Lots of things kind of fuck mutas over. There's been many things added to this game. So Double Spire, I would never recommend it. Now, so like, and again, also like we were just saying a second ago, it's one of these things too where it's distracting for you because it's a very high intensive APM unit. But now I'm gonna let it play, and we're gonna see what happens with your mutas. What are they gonna be able to accomplish here?
Probably nothing.
Yeah, I don't think they are. I know. I already know the answer to this, by the way. I'm just being nice.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, I cleaned up the medevacs, but I think I stopped making them, even though because I just I forgot what I did this game.
So now we're at 10 minutes. I'll just speed it up to make the point. I'm gonna pause it at 10. We are now at 10 minutes, and the mutas have not once been aggressive. And I will say this. I know I just explained the concept of, like, it's a multitask unit, and I would rather you not go for that because it's just going to make your life harder. But imagine if your build was not split 50-50 and, like, tech-focused and macro-focused. Imagine if it was a fully macro-focused build, which emphasizes on getting to the optimal drone count very, 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 very fucking fast. But it's still safe. It's not like you just only make drones and then or otherwise you die. The number again, the gas numbers I gave you a minute ago, it allows you to have defense if you get attacked. Otherwise, you can just macro like crazy. Like I did this many times in Beta GM with like these are some safety lings, these are some more safety lings. If we get attacked, we can make banes or whatever. When I did speedling styles, and then we focused emphasis on drones until we hit that optimal number, and then we went crazy on attacking after that. But right now at 10 minutes, going Lingbane Muta, again, you could be at 80 drones, 80 to 85, and you also could be maxed out with Lingbane Muta. You could have like 20 mutas with the rest max Lingbane. But instead,
I'm still and just relative to his, so I'm at a 70 worker count, 69, and he's at 50, right? And I lost, so however many I just lost, let's say I lost 10. So I actually wouldn't
9.
I be close to that? I lost 9. Yeah, so wouldn't I be closer to that?
So you see, this is exactly how platinum players think and how diamond players think. I'm not even kidding. Everyone thinks like this. Yeah. But now this is what I'm gonna go back and we're gonna look at something really fast. We're gonna look at the build up because every second in the game is more impactful. Every previous second in the game is more impactful than the next because it sets the pace of your build. If you are not at 66 drones at 6 minutes, your build is paced poorly for a macro. So I actually went a little too far back. I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna go to every single minute. I'm just gonna go to 6 minutes and let's look at your drone count at 6 minutes. 66 is what you could be at right now at 6 minutes.
Ooh, okay.
You are already 13 drones behind at 6 minutes before you've lost a single drone. And right now at 6 minutes, this is what you should have. A 4th base should be starting. Your 3rd base should be fully saturated. Like gases and mineral lines included. Every mineral line and gas should be fully saturated. All your tech should be thrown down already. You should have a 4th base, and you could even have like a macro hatch starting in your main or some shit like that because you're going for a Zergling style. You could have a lot more than you do right now, and it's because you're not actually respecting the build order overall. And a big part of this also is due to the fact that your gas timings are horrible right now, and you're doing the 2 build thing. You're doing teching really fast while also going for macro, and you also delayed multiple things in your build at the start of it with that drone scout. Those are 3 compounding things that set your build behind. And your build is actually a lot further behind than you might realize because of all of these things.
Oh, no. The way you're describing it makes a lot of sense, yeah.
So it's not about just eventually getting to like, oh, you know what? I got 85 drones, boys. We're fucking good. Like, I'm at 12 minutes. I got 85 drones. It's like, well, you could have been at 85 drones for the last 5 minutes, but you just got here now, and it doesn't mean that suddenly your build's fine. You never get back those 5 minutes of what you missed on the mining that could have been there.
I see what you're saying. That's usually my target, is after a certain... I see what you're saying, yeah. Getting them earlier is more important.
Yeah, because it's money. It's just more money you're going to have the whole game. It doesn't just go away. And then the game is somewhat stabilizing, but now you're matching Terran in supply mostly right now. I would like it's the game's very close supply, and I'm not going to say that that's necessarily bad in a general sense. Like, Terran and Zerg usually will be close in supply in games like this where it's Mutiling Bane versus Bio, but in this game particularly, there's no reason why you have to be close to Terran supply, because this dude is rocking a 40 worker economy almost this whole game. Like, that's really fucking low. And you're still...
So he should be over here. He should be filled out, right?
Yeah, like, the point I'm trying to make here is you should be... Against someone who plays like this in Platinum, this is standard for Platinum, which is why I said macro is all that matters in Platinum. You should be maxed out when he should be like at 130 supply or 140 supply, because he has no emphasis on his macro either. This dude you are both making the same mistake. He is all about attacking you with his drops, and you are all about getting your mutas out and going with Ling Bane and running around the map. You're both doing, like, you're both trying to play a pro level game, and neither one of you are doing it.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's literally what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And the thing about it too is mutas are harder. Mutas are honestly, out of everything you both are doing, mutas are the hardest fucking thing you can do in this game. Because if you just make mutas and you just sit there and you never use them, they are not worth the cost. They are so fucking expensive to just sit there, but they are also so fragile to play only defensively. Like, you need to be able to use the mutas to slow your opponent down more and more and more, and then use them defensively in like the certain moments when it makes sense. Which is why that unit is so high skill capped, because if you make mutas and you just sit there with it, just making mutas just to sit on your creep and eventually kill medevacs as they fly around your base, they are not going to be very useful. If they're not babysat very hard as well, they're going to die super easy.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I watch a lot of StarCraft. So what's the point of even making mutas? Like, I see like, I think GM's doing this too, is making mutas even though this Terran is throwing down, like, he's got Widow Mines, he's got turrets,
micro,
he's got
you can
bio.
Kill, you can kill all of it.
But like, how you're not gonna get in I mean, I don't know. I guess
seeing this guy's third base is like the way this guy's third base is designed, I could fucking roll that base so easy with mutas.
With mutas, yeah, but like, how is that even possible? Because that's something that I would never even try. Like, I would see one of those turrets, or like see a Widow Mine start to go, and I would be like, all right, this is not going to work.
If you have +1 weapons, so let's just say hypothetically you have +1 weapons, because it makes sense. You already have +2, but you have, at the very least, let's say you have +1 weapons. Do you know how many mutas it would take to one shot a turret?
Like 10.
It take 20. It would take 25. So, if you have 25 mutas, which is a big investment in mutas, but it's practical as well. That if you're gonna go for like a mass muta style, that is practical. But if you have 25 mutas, you could one shot a turret, one shot a turret, one shot a turret. There's only 3 turrets covering the middle line right now, and then you could just bounce off of his command center. And if you have 25 mutas to one shot a turret, how many mutas would it take, or how many shots would it take to kill the command center? It would take for 25 mutas to kill a command center, you would just multiply that by what, 6?
6. I think it's it's 6.
6 rounds of shots would kill the command center. So the command center is gonna, and the Muse attack speed's like a little bit over a second. It's 1.09. So it would take it roughly about 6 seconds to kill a command center, and it would take about 3 seconds to kill 3 turrets.
But now you're describing getting 25 mutas, which just sounds a lot more expensive.
It does when you only have 60 drones for a fucking long time.
That's true. Yeah.
It also does when you also made 9 infestors.
Hey man. Yeah, there's a lot of things. I think a big part of it is also what you're saying. Is like I'm not doing the macro, and this game could have easily had been like, you know, an A move Roach Hydra, like the Bronze to GM build, but I did this muta thing.
Yeah.
And now I have 9 infestors. Oh my, there's too many infestors.
The 9 infestors is actually not that bad. I think it's a respectable number, but I think it's terrible for someone to make infestors. Like, let's actually watch you use them. Let's watch what happens. It's again same concept as your drone scout. It's gonna fuck everything up for you. I guarantee while you use infestors, you do not inject your larva. You do not spread your
no
creep.
way. Oh, there's no. I can't keep up with that.
That's
too much.
That's what's important.
Yeah.
That actually is what's important. It's so here's this
100 energy here. I'm a full energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The concept of Zerg is literally not making one army and winning the game with it. It's remaking and remaking and remaking, and never-ending Zerg armies are continuously being pumped. That is the concept of Zerg. So if you play Zerg, like you go, you know what? I'm going to make that one army, and I'm going to win the game one time. I'm going to just win that one fight, and the game's over. You are not playing Zerg correctly. You are going to hit a brick wall at some point, and you're going to be like, well, why don't I fucking win anymore? Like, I made the good army and it's just not winning anymore. Like, maybe I just got to micro harder. And if you think about it like that, that's even further down the fucking hole where you're going to be stuck forever in that mindset.
So, I mean, like, I've watched your Bronze to GM series enough to, like, I definitely get that message. Like, I think that's actually probably the most important thing, but it's not what I end up doing, and I don't understand, like, it's, yeah, I think you describe it. It's you you're basically swarming them. You're throwing an army at them. You're hitting them hard. You're taking down their armor, and then you have the bank to like rebuild and then do it again. But like, for whatever, I think the thing that I'm learning the most in what you're describing is mostly like what happened at the beginning of this game, because that actually screwed me over the most, because I didn't know what I was doing, and I was doing this two build split thing that ruined my economy. And now if you look at my supply, it's like, it's a lot smaller. It's like, I feel like I could be maxed out. I feel like
you could have been maxed.
Yeah,
totally. You could have been maxed out repeatedly nonstop ever since 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I think I am doing exactly also what you're saying, is when I have the single army, then I'm also too scared to use it because I don't want to lose it, because then I'm like, oh, all of these are very precious and expensive, but they could die just as easily with the muta or the infestor. They get focused down, and then it's like I don't have the economy to like regenerate them. Yeah, I think it really does just come down to like making the build more. It was like the lion example that you were saying earlier. I think that makes the most sense. And then also then doing the second layers, probably focusing on injects and like making the injects better. Everything else past that, maybe not as important.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I would say the style you're going for is definitely something that can apply more the higher level you get. But it's like you're trying to skip a bunch of steps right now and just go straight to the fucking complex stuff, and you're not actually giving yourself the foundation to be able to handle the complex stuff.
Yeah, I'm missing drones everywhere too.
Yeah, like your build is fundamentally flawed overall to just have fun with complex units. And again, that's why I was saying, like, if you want to just fuck around sometimes like this and just get some experience with micro stuff like this, just give yourself no pressure by just doing like an unranked game, and then just there you go, easy peasy.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I should do when I want to do this style. And then really focus on fundamentals and like...
See, like right there, I bet that felt so good, right? You're like...
That was like, oh man, that's why I played the game.
You're like, oh man, I just fucked those medevacs up with that fungal.
That's what...
And
that's the balance. That's you have to not do that all the time, but like... That's enjoyable. That's like a...
And then I'd be like
biting into a Choco Taco.
And then I'm like, fucking look at that mineral line in your main. Holy shit! Look at that queen. Look at your larva. You only have.
No.
You only have 15 larva.
Don't look.
You only have 15 larva for 2,400 resources and 2,200 gas. And then
Oh
let's look at your upgrades. You have double spire. You could go 3-3 now, but it's not started. You've at least started 3-3 on the Evos. Your Ultraless Den is chilling. I mean, I'm glad you have one. You do have your upgrades mostly going. And then now there's another attack coming up at the top, and we'll see what happens with that. But so now I imagine you're focused on microing your army. You're killing his army right now over where it's dying. But now watch hit D on the keyboard and watch your production. As I assume you're gonna now go kill this other army. Let's see if you make anything in the process.
Maybe Lings, maybe not.
Okay, so after you have now won the fight, you started making Lings. Well, I'm glad you did eventually make them. But again, now look at your larvae. Look at your hatcheries. No injections. You've just spent all the larvae you had for 4 hatcheries, which was 26 Lings. But you have no actual macro elements rolling. And I don't know the last time you spread a creep tumor.
Oh god, yeah. Yeah, it got cleared up, and then I don't think I ever really remade it.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, it's the fundamental problem of players thinking they can multitask before they can.
Yeah, that's definitely the...
There's just a level of experience and comfort that has to be there to actually multitask it. Because again, look at the so you're bouncing left and right with this army, right? And now let's once again look at your hatcheries. Okay, you've actually injected your main. You have not injected your natural. You haven't even remade the queen at the 3rd. You have not injected your 4th. So your natural and your 4th have both max energy queens, and they've been chilling for a while. Like, I don't think an inject has happened on either one of these hatcheries for probably the last 3 minutes. Your natural, same thing, because it's not injected, and your queen's dead. And also, look at the drone line. You let drones die, and you never are replacing them. So right now, your economy it's starting to drop more and more and more. And the more you just build ultras or something like that, if you lose drones, the more you're putting yourself in a situation where you're now kind of becoming all in because you're not replacing an economy that's dead. You're instead just making army. And if your opponent was better and he actually was not in a situation where he was also neglecting economy, if he was able to max, lose some army, remax, lose some army, remax because he has a good economy, you would be pushing into a player that is remaxed repeatedly at this stage when you're not replacing army, and it would put you in a situation where if your army does not now suddenly just win the game, you don't have a remax anymore. You're just gonna die. Like, you can't just rebuild what you just lost again because you don't have enough money to do that.
Right. Now I'm all in almost because that is my one.
Like, you're gonna probably win this game. It looks like because this guy doesn't macro very well. He does not make SCVs, but there's pressure for you to win now, though. It doesn't have to be. And that micro with those infestors, your infestors, you can clearly see your army is all in the same control group. Because watch your infestors how they move around. This is not how you want to use infestors.
I never claimed to be good. Yeah, like I think so what would you do if you had link, like, so you have and also, like, how many control groups is appropriate for, like, let's assume, like, you're GM. So, like, at this point with the mix that you have infestors, you have mutas, you have lings, and you have banes.
I would have 3 control
Something
groups.
that I saw you do with your banes that I start to do later in the game is you split, and I like your I love the way that you did the description of lings versus banes, where both of them are on 1 and then banes are on 2, so you can move and then, like, you know, move one group, move them all in one direction, and then just move the banes. But later in the game, when I start to have more and more fires pop up that I need to put out, I don't have I just lump them all together. I'm like, all right, all lings and banes are in 1. They should just be in 1 because now I have stuff like infestors and muta, and I put those on like 2 and 3.
Are you looking at my stream? Really? Are you in my stream chat right now, really fast?
And I'm not.
Okay, well, when this coaching lesson's over, come back to my stream chat, and I want you to type this command in the chat, literally.
Sure.
It will explain so much for you. It'll link you to a video, and that video will describe exactly what you're asking for.
Sure, groups.
But what I would do is I would have lings and banes only on 1. I would have mutas on 2, and I would have an overseer with my mutas, and because I know he has widow mines, and then I would have infestors only on 3. Once I would have infestors, they replace the isolation of banes because infestors now take the priority. There are priorities in this game, and they change based on what your composition is. So,
and then what about your hatcheries?
5. And if I were to make Broodlords, they would be on 4. If I were to make Swarmhost, they would be on 4. If I were to make Ultras, I would add them into group 1. I would have Banes isolated from Lings. The point I'm trying to make here is Banes would be isolated from Lings without Infestors, because Banes are my form of AoE. That is important, and I need to make sure my AoE is not getting wasted on the outer edges of his units, and instead it's rolling into the Marines, the more important clumps of shit. But as soon as I have Infestors, do I really need to micro my fucking Banes anymore, where I need to roll them into the clumps of shit, when instead what I'm doing is what I'm really trying to do is fungal his army in the first place so that he can't move anyways? Like, the Infestors replaced Baneling priority.
That makes sense.
So in that video, if you type in Zerg groups in my stream chat, I explain priorities and my compositions I use and how I prioritize shit. So that's and how I micro it. And again, that's not for someone in Platinum League. If you're curious about it, you can watch it. But it is, again, this Infestor control I'm watching right now is clearly, I would say it's lower level than what it should be, because I can see your Infestors going left and right immediately with all your Lings and all your Mutas, which means you're using one control group, which means all your Infestors are going to run into death whenever they engage fights, because they're in the army to waddle into death, basically. They're not actually staying in comfortable spots to cast spells but yet do it from safety. They're doing it in a way where they're all going to start dying. And you had 9 Infestors, now you have 7, and 3 of them or 2 of them are literally on the deathbed at the moment as well. And it's like, see how the Infestors leading the charge right there? If Armada shot one more time, it would have died. So it's,
oh god,
it's just it's a bit sloppy. And now your Infestors are leading the charge against Widow Mines and tanks.
Yeah.
And that's my point when you say, like, again, I'm going to use this one more time as an example. When you were literally earlier in the coaching lesson, when you were like, but that fungal though makes my army way more efficient, right? I would be like, holy fuck, after watching what we just watched, I would rather you just have like 12 Ultras here than fucking 9 Infestors that just suicide themselves.
Right. I guess the one, like, if I were to pick a turning point in this game, though, was at this bit, and like, that's what I guess, like, I ultimately am focusing on that I should not be focusing on. But the turning point in this game where I was like, all right, now I'm winning, was when I fungled all the medevacs and got all of the bio in like one hit. And I was like, great, now I'm definitely winning. But you're basically saying that there are a lot easier ways to win than that, almost.
I think winning and losing is irrelevant.
Yeah,
I think you are winning this game because your opponent plays worse than you. And if you played a player who was a little bit better than this Terran, just because you fungled some medevacs in the bottom of the map doesn't suddenly mean you're going to win the game every time. You might fungle some medevacs in the bottom of the map and then watch the replay and be like, what the fuck? I fungled medevacs and he was at 200 supply. Now he dropped down to 170 and I'm at 130, and then he went right back to 200 when I hit 138. I fucking fungled medevacs and it still doesn't matter. It's because this guy's macro is worse than yours, even though yours could still be improved as well. So he is not actually putting up as much of a fight as he could. So like even though you won this particular game, the answer here is not, well, Infestors, dude. Like, that's why I'm winning. It's your macro was good, at least better than his. And if you improve it, you will beat even better players.
Yeah, one thing that I think I do well on the macro side is the number of bases that I try to take, or like that's the one. Like, everything else aside, something that I always try to do is just like, when I know that like that threshold comes where I'm like, oh, I need to take another base, I actually go and take it. Now there's nothing up here because stuff died and I never replaced it in the top right. But like taking bases, I never am shy to do. It's more of making sure that they're serving me with injects and other things, and mineral lines, complete and stuff. Yeah,
that's definitely part of it. It's definitely like trying to expand on time, but making sure your expansions are also fully optimal and fully running is definitely the other part of it, which you want to make sure you're always respecting. But just to recap here, because we're
sure.
Probably gonna end it here in just a minute, and I'll give you like a moment to ask questions and stuff. I think if your macro gets improved, definitely gonna make your life a lot better. That is, again, there's a lot of ways to play the game fun. I totally get that, but I do think fun and skill do not go hand in hand. If you want to focus on skill, focusing on things like focusing on the macro to the point where you can now handle multitasking is where you want to go, and then you can do shit like this when you have the foundation to do it properly. And then, you know, but I don't mind that you experiment with it, but I like I said before, just do it in like a non-pressure situation, like unranked, so that you can just do it for free, and if you lose, you lose. Who gives a shit?
Right.
And then lastly, like at a stage like this, when you have broken your opponent and the game is at a point to where it's over 15 minutes, a big recommendation I have for you about how to win it, because what I just watched you do, you tried to run into his ramp and break his production, and that is almost usually always going to be a terrible idea for you to do, especially against Terran, because it's going to be walled, and if you only have melee units and you don't have, especially if you don't even have banelings, he's going to probably shred the shit out of your army as you try to go up that ramp. If you just kill his economy, the game is over. And if you want to fight to where he doesn't have enough army to fight off what you have right now, if you kill his economy, it's like you always target the newest expansion and progress into his base. He doesn't have any money in his main anymore because 15 minutes is mined out. Like, he's going to be mined out at that point.
Right.
So if you just starve him out, you win anyways. So you don't have to physically kill his production to win the game. So that would be my recommendation, would be as well as where you send your army, not microing your army. Do not fucking think about it as microing your army, but just where to send it. That should be the step of evolution for you, is understanding how to use the map to your advantage, and then how to micro in aspects of the fights that you're doing. That's later. But for now, it's just learning where and when to send shit. Like, overall game sense, and then developing your micro should come literally last. And a lot of players always try to focus on micro first, which is all it's going to be is early on is a distraction.
Yeah, well, I think also you said it best, is like when you like, I love StarCraft as a spectator sport. My God, it's like the most fun thing to watch. Playing it is very different, but when you go from it being a spectator sport to then like trying to do the things that you just saw, it does not translate. So I think that rule definitely applies. And also, like, in terms of like, one of the reasons why I was at like gold for so long is like I watched tons of StarCraft, but like casters never really explain, like they'll explain a very detailed reason why a GM player did what they did, but they won't explain like very basic stuff, you know what I mean? So a lot of the reason why I think I was like in gold in the beginning was because it's like all the information, there's no like, all the information that I had about the game was like very like specific, detailed stuff, and not like, here's what you need to do 1, 2, 3. There's really no multiplayer guide or tutorial that like, I mean, other than your thing, or like, but like the game itself doesn't teach you that. And if you only are watching GM players, then you're also not going to get that either, because it's just a totally different level. So maybe that's why there's a big, dispersion of like player skill. I don't know.
Oh, that is a big, like, I'm gonna say right now, the fact that streaming exists made a lot of players a lot better as well, because before streaming, as a good player, you were like a fucking unicorn. Like, you would have so many players that have no idea what's going on, and one good player would just steamroll everybody, like, repeatedly. Yep. So yeah, no, I definitely agree that mainstream sources of information of StarCraft, which people consume, which is not actually logical, it should be for entertainment, not for learning purposes, is basically watching a tournament and you're like, oh shit, I just watched GSL last night and I saw this build. You have to be of a certain level to even understand why the fuck they do it. Like, a player who is like a pro gamer can literally look at someone else of their same race and be like, okay, Maru did this because of this, and holy fuck, that makes a lot of sense. And they actually understand it because they're at like a pro level to like really think about it the way that someone like Maru would, and as they see him do it, they can kind of understand why it was done. And you get a player who is like still good, who could do it, but then doesn't understand shit about it, who's like GM or Masters, and that player is like, oh, I saw Maru do this, and he did it, and he won with it, and I won with it, and then he does it 5 more times, and he loses every fucking game after that, and he's like, I don't understand why I'm not winning anymore. And it's because, oh, Maru did this because of this specific subtle aspect of the game that you're not realizing, because you're not literally thinking about why he does it. You're just doing monkey see, monkey do. I'm going to copy that, that build, and I'm going to do it. That happens to a lot of players. And then you
Yeah.
have everybody below that where they can't actually do a pro build properly, but they try. And then everything is like, well, I got to be aggressive. I got to be harassing. I got to be active. I got to be doing this. I got to be doing fucking 400 APM right now when I only have 105. And I'm basically over here just, I'm winning the game, I think. And then, things are kind of falling apart, but it's still going well. I mean, if I just get a little bit better at it, I'm improving at the game, and I'm just playing this way. But in reality, it's like you're trying to it's like someone trying to teach somebody how to juggle, and you give them like 10 fucking balls at once, and you're like, okay, do it. And he's like, he throws all 10 up at once, and they all fucking hit the floor, and he doesn't even catch one of them. And he's like, well, am I doing pretty good? I'm like, no, actually, you're not. You should just start with 1, get it good, do 2, like progress. And no one really thinks about it that way because they all think about, I'm gonna just replicate tournament play, which is players that are like masters of the fucking game.
Yeah, and even before, because like when I started playing was back in Wings of Liberty. I don't even think there was even less sources of reliable information. The other things that I was able, like when I was like, how do I get good in Wings of Liberty? I'd like Google these builds, and they'd be like written out builds of like, I'm sure you've seen them, like numbers and then the building and then a number and then a drone and like exactly when to do things. I couldn't like decipher that information, and there's no way that I was gonna be able to not that it's like overly complex, but it didn't make intuitive sense like why I was doing certain things for those for like reading that build order. I felt more like a computer, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that, but like why am I doing that drone at then, and like what's the point of this build? And like you can't really, like, a lot of those builds also didn't have like great descriptions that went along with them. I don't know, but the videos and like the explanation and the coaching, like all that stuff is like way more digestible and valuable. So
yeah,
so thank you. Yeah,
no problem, man. Thank you for watching it, dude.
Yeah, dude.
And I guess we can we've actually gone like 30 minutes over.
yeah. I don't mean to take your time, but I appreciate it though.
No, it's all good, man. But any final question before we wrap up?
Yes. So here's the final question, and it is more of like a principles thing. Is so like in the beginning of the game, like you were just like everything, like you're like my pool's late 10, or like my hatch is late. My pool could have been like 30 seconds further along. And then like my hatch was earlier, and like so all the time, like the early game is just like very, very, very important. At what point do like those seconds matter less and less? At what point are you like, because and I watched some of your videos, and like later on you're like, oh, I'm just putting this down, like at a later point in the game it's like it doesn't really matter. Like what's the tipping point where like specific building timings like do or don't matter, or like making
when it doesn't matter at all is when you're fully saturated. When it matters,
saturation.
and then it matters percentage-wise less. Every drone additionally you have, the percentage drone of a wasted drone or a drone that wasn't used as optimally as it could have been is less percentage of all drones, so it matters less. Like if I make a spine crawler at 17 supply, that is astronomically bad for my economy because it's so fucking expensive at that point. But if I make a spine crawler at 71 drones, I barely even notice I made that.
Gotcha. So on like a per drone increment, like more drones that you get, the impact is just lessened. So it's like by percentage.
Yeah, it's exactly, it's percentage based. And then once you, like I said before, if you get to that point where you max drone, and now you're, because there's two gears for Zerg. There is a drone pumping gear, and then there is a army pumping gear. And the idea is, for whatever build you're going to go for, you want to get to the ideal amount of drones, and then go to the army pumping gear. You do not want to be going half repeatedly, because you're not going to get to that fully saturated state until way later, which is going to make the whole game harder for you, because you're going to have no bank, you're going to have less shit to work with, you're going to have less bases to work with, you're going to have less money that you can use to further your position in the game. So getting to that drone saturation as quick as you can, whether your build's going to be all in or whether it's going to be full on macro, you pick the number of drones that is ideal for that build. And if you're going to macro, it's 80 to 85, I would say, just for learning purposes, because that is a solid fucking number to get. You get to that point really fast, and suddenly you can make whatever the fuck you want all game for the rest of the game. And most things will work if you can just macro well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks.
All right, dude. Well, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope all of it makes sense. I hope it's digestible, and I will also upload this VOD to YouTube later, and I'll link you in Discord and stuff.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
All right, and keep StarCraft alive with your brother. Keep playing 2v2s, and thanks again for doing the coach list, man.
keep having fun. It's a balance of fun and work, you know.
Yeah, it is.
But all right, thanks a lot.
All right, take it easy, dude.
Later, man.
All right, boys. That has been a coaching lesson with VVKK, Mr. Van Buren. But if you guys liked it, please don't hesitate to check out more of the YouTube channel. I have, if you want more Sark information, I have tons of it, lots and lots and lots. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. So until then, much love and adios. Later, guys.